good Tuesday evening to you folks. How are you? It is good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. And the person who is glad and is doing the seeing is me, Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. And welcome to the show, folks. We've got a humdinger for you tonight. Now, if you are wondering where AD&D is, when is AD&D happening, why isn't AD&D happening, calm yourself. Deep breath. We will be playing some Livestream First Edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons for you, because that's what we do around here. That's what we do when we don't have awesome guests. And we have some awesome guests tonight. I can assure you. Of course, it was on the lobby card. It's no big surprise. But yeah, so in just a few minutes, we're going to have some guests in here. Tomorrow night marks the return of Kyle Schuant. We will be playing some Conflict. Kyle will be running that. I'll be doing this. I'll be kicking back and rolling dice occasionally. So that's going to be fun. And then Friday night, 1st October of Friday, first of 4 sessions of Let's Play Call of Cthulhu. That's right. You guys liked it so much last year. We're bringing it back. We're bringing back the terror, the suspense of Let's Play Call of Cthulhu. So I hope you'll tune in for the horror. So if you're just stopping by for the first time, if you haven't already, please do click that like button. If you like the video, click the subscribe button and the bell icon. That's the most helpful thing you can do. And mark my words that this live stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Now, Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures that they'd like to play, whether it's for 5e, for Castles and Crusades, or for the OSR. Old School is in play at the table, and you can check them out at DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com. Now, as to our guests tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let me just get my headphones. I didn't mean to have them hanging so weirdly. Don my headphones here so I can hear the dulcet tones. If you're like my guest, you're 5'9.5" and named Matt. Otherwise, you're completely on your own. But I see we also have some company, so that joke doesn't entirely work as well as it might. But boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the one and only Mythmere himself, Matt Finch. Matt, good evening. Good to see you. And I cannot hear you, my friend. Check your mic, brother. And, of course, you're unmuted now. Give me a mic check, Matt. That's a negatory. Let me see. But while Matt fixes his audio issues, let us also say hello to Aggie. And we'll bring him on stage. Aggie, how are you? Good to see you. Can we hear you? Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we have Aggie's audio. So welcome one and all. And we are, let's see.
I think I'm fixed too. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you. You're 5x5. Okay, so this is an awesome thing, and it's kind of funny. So if you check the link down underneath the description, not you guys, you guys know what's said there, but those of you watching at home, on the road, wherever, check the link down below, and you will see a link to Matt's Kickstarter that is rolling. And he was like, "Oh, I want to be on the show, and it's Tuesday, and the Kickstarter launches. Do you want to do that?" And I said, "Oh, that would be awesome." And then so today I'm getting things set up, and I go to the Kickstarter, and I look at the Kickstarter, and it's already funded. So I mean, that's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but you won't get the full Delver effect on your Kickstarter.
Well, we will, because we're going to put your audience to work, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes.
Oh, excellent. They could use a little bit of work. Actually, some of them I don't want to name names. They're a little soft around the middle, so you'll see who I'm talking about. But anyway, it's good to see you guys. Welcome back to Uncle Bill's TV Playhouse. So what now this is like the full launch of what we talked about the last time you two gents were on the show. So bring us up to date. Where are we with this? Features, any major changes? Talk to me, Goose.
Well, I mean, I guess the first thing is that the coding is done. There are probably a couple of areas where it's not entirely finished, and Aggies can talk about those. But it's ready to roll. That was, we weren't going to launch until we had something that was already prepared to be fulfilled. We've launched. It's going very well. It's already funded, like we talked about. So we're going to have, an app out there that does the Tomo Adventure Design stuff, plus lets people design their own tables and use other tables and share tables. So I think like you said, we're sort of brought up to speed with the stuff that we were saying we hoped we were going to do on the last show. We've now done.
Excellent. So we're all there. We have moved into the full. This is folks can get their hands on this now. Finally. And again, throw me the Kickstarter link in the green room real quick, and I'll put that up on the screen.
Okay. It'll take me a second, but I will do that.
So as we wait, I want to say that we had the software already done, but this first day was amazing because we got some really good feedback.
Excellent.
Yeah, you get ideas, and it's pretty nice because you see things that you haven't thought, and they're really easy to implement. So I'm making a list. But yeah, people seem to really like it, and they bring ideas in, and that's always wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that. And that audience out there, you guys be proud of yourselves. Okay. This is, I mean, so often I think these days people tend to view software as either, a flash in the pan, just something like somebody releases and then they move on to other things, or it's this terrible monolith that nothing short of like a class action suit and a 10,000 message thread on Reddit can ever affect even the slightest degree of change in. And that kind of positive feedback on the feedback you've gotten, I think should lift up the spirits of a lot of people who feel that.
Yeah, I think that's true. And we've gotten, a lot of good ideas coming out. The second you throw an idea out into the wild, it starts changing and people have good ideas. And, it's something that, a small focus group is just not going to necessarily perceive what somebody who's got a particular interest in doing something, what they will do with something. So, it takes on a life of its own.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it so it's 3 across there. So zoom, adjust a little bit, Matt, because I want to put this. I want to put this URL down there. The last time I was doing that, and Aggie was here. Poor Aggie was like, it was like this down behind the URL at the bottom of the screen. So I want to spare him that at least for a little while. So anyway, Matt's going all Zapruder vision on us there, but while he gets his camera adjusted. So what's I'm sorry, I just went blank. So first of all, the Kickstarter itself, you know what? I'll just I'll stop flapping my gums and I'll bring up the Kickstarter page, and folks can get a gander at that, because this sucker this sucker's funded, boys and girls. If you were thinking, yeah, I'm going to be some early adopter and I'm going to get out there and yada yada yada, that train is left. So Fantasy Adventure Builder, the Tome of Adventure Design Fantasy Adventure Builder. If you don't know what it is, if you didn't catch the last time Matt was here, it is an app for PC, for Mac, for mobile, for designing and creating adventures for D&D and other fantasy role-playing games. And we played with it on screen last time, and it was an absolute blast. Guys, I got to tell you something. And this is let me be just direct with you here while I fish this out and put this. Let me see. Present. Come on, present. Aggie, I got another project for you when the dust settles from this one. Subcontract your company to the people that do StreamYard and get a better UI design for them, please. I love the functionality, but I have to click 9 times. 9 times.
I agree. Some UXs are pretty old. We often discuss within the company about Discord's UX. It's impossible to navigate in Discord when you want to do complicated things. But yeah. Kickstarter has improved a lot. I don't know if Matt. I've noticed a lot of changes for the better. As you create your campaign, it's easier to use. The ads that you upload and the pictures you upload that do not get super pixelated. So that was an improvement.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So we have the Tome of Adventure Design Fantasy Adventure Builder. As I said, PC, Mac, tablet app for designing and creating your own creating adventures for D&D or other fantasy RPGs, and to create your own generators, which is what I'm all about, because there's a certain book written by a fellow from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. You might be familiar with him. That I'm dying to stuff some of his ideas into this bad boy. So let's look at the various levels of backing. Or Matt, Aggie, do you guys want to talk about those rather than hear me and awe them into the ground?
No, you can go ahead and run through them, and we'll give comments, which there are probably a couple.
Okay, so let's see. Of course, you can make a pledge without a reward if you want, but let
me interrupt right there. Anybody who, and I'll do this as we're going through, but anybody who only wants this on a tablet, that's actually what you do, because the tablet key is an add-on. So if all you want is that, just throw in $1 tip and then do the add-on for the tablet only. That's the only way that you can get only a tablet.
Okay. There you go, guys. Those of you who are interested. Now, let me. Okay, look. I don't know the Apple ecosystem anymore. I mean, the last Apple product I touched was the last Apple computer that I touched was tearing out the hard drive of and disposing of an old Power Mac 8100 for a friend. He was like, "What do I do? I don't want to just put this out by the curb. Somebody might get my data. Give me a screwdriver in 5 minutes." So for the Mac, does that entail just the desktop machines? Is it also for the iPad?
All right, so let me answer this. For let's call them desktop Mac, it's a special build that we create for this machine. Yeah. So if a Mac user goes through Steam or get a key to install, or they get a standalone, they're gonna receive a specific build for Mac, because there's a compatibility. You have to have slightly different code. It's minor changes. When we say in the campaign tablets, we mean either iPad or anything that deals with Apple, or Android, anything that deals with Play Store. So basically, that's the case. It's two different versions. So anyone that gets the tablet, I guess, they will get the chance to choose later on. Like, I want an Apple or an Android build, and we will send the appropriate.
Okay, cool. That answers the question there. And of course, those of us of the glorious PC master race don't have to worry about such things. We just download, install, and run. But anyway, so here we go. We have the Adventure Builder at the $40 level. You get a copy of Tome of Adventure. And folks, I got to tell you, that's worth the price of admission right there. That's just my 2 cents. I'm sorry. You know, that might sound like a shill, but I promise it's not. Let's see. But you get the app delivered as a Steam key. At the $50 level.
Hang on, let me break in there again, Bill. So what you get
All
with this one here, the $40, is the basic full economy version of the thing, which has all of the functionality of anything. You know, we're not selling anything that's crippleware or anything like this. So this has all of the functionality. What you receive is the Steam key and also a download key. If you want one, that's for people who don't want to go through Steam and want to have the thing, you know, residing on their computer.
Okay.
Would be, you know, going through that. And then also you get a free tablet app as well. So that basically covers all of the platforms, you know, unless you've got 2 different types of tablets or so on and so forth. But the only thing that is lacking in this version of it is that it does not contain certain tables that are the premium DLC. But this is a full and complete non-crippleware package, and this is what we're assuming that probably most people will get for you know, if you're just going to be using it to design games for your table, you know, and your people are not planning on broadcasting anything, you know, this is your basic economy package there. So so that's the $40 level.
Excellent. Okay. So let's move on here. The Fantasy Adventure Builder $50 level. You receive a Steam key for the Tome of Adventure design, and your name will be added to the credits page as one of those who helped support the project. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
And that's it. That's basically a way of people, you know, who want to throw in an extra $10, you know, to help the project along, and you know, and we're going to put their names in the credits. But that's the only thing that's different between the $50 and the $40 pledge level. So we're inching up here. This is more than the basic pack, but it's not more stuff. You know, it's just an additional thing, the credits.
And I want to add here that we have a special UI for that. So it's something that anyone that uses the app can click, go to credits, and see obviously the author, Matt,
Neat.
and all these things, but also all the names who did this pledge.
And is there any special level for, you know, a dashingly handsome YouTuber who gave you guys a couple of hours to talk about this? Not that I'm teasing. I'm kidding.
Let me make a note.
Yeah, let me write that on my tablet.
You're going to be forever. You're forever going to be memorialized as that dashing YouTuber who gave up 2 hours of his time.
Yes,
in the credits of this program. So beware, you may get what you ask for.
Right. So $80. This is premium. You receive a Steam key for the tome and all premium DLC content produced for this version. Does that pretty much speak for itself, or are there any other points there?
I thought it did, and it definitely does not. There is some confusion about what it is that people are getting on this pledge level. So, and this is also where I'm going to put your audience to work fairly shortly, Bill. So,
okay.
So what it is, and part of it is just the difficulty of describing, because we are going to do a future Kickstarter that basically adds on an additional function in here, which is designed to create something that is a much more finished adventure. But because it's more finished, it will also be less of a creative tool. And we're going to do a Kickstarter for that And so we didn't want to say you're going to get lots of DLC content for free. DLC content, that's redundant. You're going to get DLC for free because there's this future Kickstarter out there, and we didn't want people to think that that they were getting the future Kickstarter for free as well. So that was part of the thing. What we are talking about with DLC here is more tables. These are going to be tables that are going to be in the My Generator area that the people who backed at the $40 level won't have access to, because this lets us raise a little bit of extra money by throwing in some of the tables that we worked on when we were running up toward this project. And also, August and I have not gotten together. We created tables. We haven't gotten together and said, okay, this one's going to be an example table. This one's going to be premium DLC. So we basically don't yet have a clear answer as to what's a list of the tables. Plus, a lot of them we're going to write while we are doing the Kickstarter. This is the future stuff, and some of the premium DLC may even be delivered long after the Kickstarter. It's the functional program that's going to be delivered right after the Kickstarter gets funded and we receive the cash. This is something that will stretch more out into the future. So, but a lot of people have said, I don't understand what is in the DLC. So that's the description of it. First of all, it's tables, it's not functionality. And the second thing is that I am, if there is someone on this show who would like to have a particular table that they would like to see in the premium DLC, speak now. I'm going to start looking over at the list here of the live stream. Let me know. That may be one of the things we put in there.
There you go, guys. This is your chance right now, live, to shape products going into a Kickstarter. I don't mean in the sense of, well, if we pledge enough, they'll let us have this. I mean, right now, in the chat, if I'm understanding you right, Matt, you guys can fire off ideas. And if you're worried that you miss anything, Matt, just let me know, and I will give you like the whole chat log. I can go on YouTube and get the chat log and shoot it to you. So guys,
now here's the difference between our technological levels, Bill, because this here is a very useful tool that I use when I want to record things that happen around me.
Well, I'm just saying the chat goes fast.
And that's the reason that August is here to correct me if I make any technological pronouncements about this app.
I'm sorry, that who's here?
August is here.
Actually, in this sentence, it was 100% correct.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's all Greek to you, I understand.
You're talking to him, it's Agi, right? Isn't that right?
Well done. That's the case. Yeah.
And if you're talking about him, it's Agis.
Well done. That's a wonderful idea.
That 2 semesters of ancient Greek was not completely wasted.
All right, so there's the $80 and for a cool 100, guys, the all-in pledge. You got your Steam key, a commercial use license. Your name goes in the credits, and you get all of the DLC. And I'm presuming any little nudges you guys put in here also falls under that. So really, I mean, choose your own adventure here, guys, because these are all amazing levels of support. And I mean, honestly, for what this is, for what this does, and if you missed the last stream where we actually got to demo this, after this one, don't go away now. Stay put, because you can get your ideas in there. Go watch that one. I'll put it. I didn't think to. I'll put it down in the description later of that live stream, and you guys can watch this thing unfold. I mean, it is literally a well manufactured jar to catch lightning in. So, like, if you've got ideas, if you need ideas, this is going to help quite a lot. And do you guys know me? I don't get like super duper enthusiastic about much. I'm normally a very calm sedate fellow, particularly on camera. But no, all kidding aside, this is an awesome thing. Do we want to watch the video? It's up to you guys if you want to do it. Mi casa es su casa. But do you guys want to show the Kickstarter video up here? The promo trailer.
It's just my voice. It's boring,
Oh, okay.
I think it's cool.
Let me go ahead, since we are actually starting to get some ideas coming from the chat, which is awesome. Thank you very much. One person did mention a library. There is already a book generator that's embedded in Tome, so we might be able to do something with book titles, but that's actually already covered in the body of the thing. Things Found in a Barrel is not, and I will we'll do something on that. Here are some of the other ideas that I have. So one big hole that I think is in Tome of Adventure Design is that it does not have any tables for generating the entrance to a dungeon, and so I was thinking doing an entrance to the dungeon table. I'm doing a history of magic items table, and that is actually a whole lot of subtables as well, because that's going to include name generators, it's going to include places, and so on and so forth. But also, I'm thinking maybe do one that generates a mastermind villain. Not much in the way of background on that villain, because we've already got the plans and so on and so forth. But simply just, it's a robotic sphinx that's powered, from the elemental plane of robotics, and it wants to take control of the countryside, as opposed to it's a lich, and we'll put in, those types of things to get the idea of the mastermind villain. And then also I think your basic, this is kind of, some of this stuff to me sounds boring because it's stuff that's been done in other table generators, but for somebody who's coming to this for the first time, this is really, really cool stuff. So I'm going to put it in. Just a description of a scroll and a description of a potion are two things that are very relatively easy to do in a computer program. But for someone who hasn't seen that sort of thing being done, it's like magic what you can get out of that. So doing those two as well. So just so that y'all already know the kind of stuff that's in my head for it, and I will keep watching the chat and seeing other ideas coming out. Dirty Bard song lyrics are not going to be in there, Bill, just to let you know.
You said you take people's ideas, Matt. That's an idea, and I'm a people.
You're a host. You're the host.
Do you guys see what I have to put up with out of my guests? What I bend myself at like an acute angle to get guests on, and this is the level. Aggie, does Matt maltreat you like this and just cast your ideas aside too?
Oh yeah.
Actually, no. The cool thing about this collaboration is that we agree on almost everything. It's amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
We don't have to really argue about anything. But when I took the initiative to create two generators for the premium DLC, one is an inn generator and the other one is a village generator. Because as a dungeon master, my problem is that my players always decide to go to villages that basically do not exist in my paper, because they travel to reach another town and they decide to, stop in a village. And right there, I have no plan. So I thought it would be amazing just to click and get like the population, how many guards, or who is the priest, who is in charge of the village. So I created these two, and Matt liked them, and there they are. So we never had to disagree. Or he's amazing.
I bet if you asked Matt to put Dirty Bard lyric generator in there, he would. I'm just
the only person who could manage that is Susie, probably. And I can tell you, Susie would be the first one to say, "Nope, not going in there." So she is the person who watches out for me to make sure that I don't say stupid stuff in public.
Squares. This isn't public though. This is my show. Ones of people are watching right now, man. I'm kidding.
Actually, you've got a pretty good audience. I'm seeing 39 people watching.
This is good. This is good. No. I tease, but this is wonderful. And I mean, I'm honored that you guys are here. And I've been in talks with the awesome Risa about having some more folks from your office, Aggie, on the show about other things. But I don't want to spoil anything about that yet. So Luther says the guest stacked on the left like that, or like some kind of perverse snowman. I can't help you, Luther. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Totem pole. Okay. But anyhow,
I think it was also Luther who asked whether we could show, or maybe it wasn't, might have been Vaughn, the question about whether we could show it. I can't show it because I'm on a camera here, and so I can't share screen on the thing. And I don't know if Bill is set up, but in the last video that we did with Bill, which will be on his channel page, we did actually show the program in operation, and it's more sophisticated now than the version that we gave to Bill to start with, but it's still basically the same mode of operation. So
we also have a full tutorial video
yes,
in the campaign. So
and it's linked on it's on the Kickstarter page too. Actually, if you scroll down and there's a watch the tutorial, which is a pretty prominent button.
So anyone can visit our Kickstarter campaign and go and watch the full tutorial video. And actually, I want to say we got a comment today, Matt, from someone, and he started his comment by saying, "This reminds me of Tablesmith. This looks amazing." And I was really thrilled because you were mentioning it again and again.
Tablesmith is a really good program, and the one thing I was worried about with the table designer is that the table designer uses buttons to help you not screw up when you are making the table. All you have to, you basically, the way it works is you fill in your data tables with, 1 word, 2 words, whatever it is. But your main table is the sentence, kind of like in the old Mad Libs thing where, you have your main thing. And then all you have to do is click the button to the data table. So it's a little reverse. You do have to create something in the data tables before you can start doing your main table, but it's done with button pushes. That makes it much easier to use than Tablesmith. It appears to be less flexible until you also know that it also takes HTML code, which means you can do freaking anything.
Yeah.
And we will give a list of the HTML features. So it's sort of a middle zone. You're either using it in the very simple mode, or you can go and look up the HTML code thing. But it because of that taking HTML code, it is every bit as flexible as Tablesmith. So
right on. Now I do have the app up on this workstation here, on the streaming workstation, and it is I'm presuming it's the build that we demoed. I didn't see any notes for updates or anything like that. Do we want to show this to the crowd, or would you guys prefer, because it is an older build, that we not, because it might not have features?
Well, if you loaded it, if you reloaded it, it's been updated. That's why we're using Steam, is that it does the updates for free. So it ought to be.
Okay, all right.
Unless you've kept it up and running the whole time since the last interview.
No, I haven't. Trust me, this computer has been off and on a lot. It's gotten a brain transplant.
Then you're good. Then you're good. Let's do this.
All right. Let's do it. Let's light this candle, Hiroshi, as the man said. So let me remove that one for a hot second, and we're gonna be demoing this. But in the meantime, we have a question. Let's see. John David says, "When can I buy new Adventures in Swords and Wizardry, Matt? I bought Frog God clean out."
Wow, that's pretty impressive right there. We are. I mean, we had the one that came out with the main book, and we've actually been kicking around the idea of starting the cycle of doing some of the smaller module adventure type products. That wasn't part of the thing is this was one of the big priorities. Getting the Swords and Wizardry rule book out was the big priority. Getting the Tome of Adventure Design book out was the big priority. Now that we've run through this plus the historical big classic things that we needed to get out, we're going to begin rolling into that sort of production line. So figure at most I would say about 6 months before that gets started rolling, and possibly sooner than that.
Excellent. Well, there you go, John David. Hope that whets your appetite. So let's kick this off here. Let's take a look at it. And so here we are. We're at the stage of history. So take us by the hand and walk us through here. And what do we do?
Well, what do you want to explore?
Well, I mean, I'm a sucker for adventure building. Let's just kick it off with some adventure building, and we'll click there. And then we have our index over on the left there, starting points, create monster, dungeon traps, always a favorite of mine. Dungeon map, I'm keen to check that out. Dungeon landmarks, miscellaneous items, non-dungeon adventures, and inspirations. But let's go ahead. Let's do starting points. And
so let me help you a little bit. So
okay,
this index basically it contains all the tables of Tom of Adventure Design book.
Okay,
and we have created with Matt some categories. So all of these buttons there, the titles there, basically if you click the folder button, you can open and see all the subtables that the main table contains.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to click on and roll starting points, you're going to get a random list of starting points for your adventure. If you open the folder, you can be more specific. Say, okay, tell me about the villain. Otherwise, it will run all the tables and it will randomly choose to give you results from all these subchapters.
All right, so Bill, let's make an adventure.
All right, let's do it.
August has just told you how to get the specific stuff. So now we can look into all of these things and pick a thing. So let's write an adventure. Where do you want to start out with the adventure? You want to center it around a new monster that's the mastermind, or do you want to think about what the type of location is? What do you want to do? Where do you usually start?
For me, Matt, to be honest, it's almost always it's like a 40% location, 40% item, and the rest kind of scattered through. So let's go with location. Okay. And we'll click.
This is what we'll do is John David has just asked for more adventures for Swords and Wizardry. Let's make one right now for him on camera.
Here you go.
That's a good idea.
I hope you are taking notes, John David. All right. So here we go. Location mission.
Okay, it's a location-based mission.
All right. Escape from a tavern. That's not someplace I'd want to escape from, but we'll go with it.
Well, it could be a really bad tavern. Let's write that. Let's hit keep so that we throw that into our notebook. People may not remember from the last video, or may not have seen the last video, but this notebook function down in the bottom here is an area where you take something out of the computer ruled and put it into an area that you can change it around. So every time that you want to keep something, you just click keep and it drops it into the notebook.
Okay. Now, there is a question from Alex here that I think is important enough that we should pause and address real quick. So those of you who are on the edges of your seats finding out about this tavern we're going to escape from, Alex says, I've noticed that the maximum pledge allowed is 100. Is there any way I can increase my pledge?
Yes. So what one can do is pick to pledge the 101, and actually in any pledge you're allowed to change how much money you're going to give, if I remember well.
Yeah, I think you can put on more, but why? Yeah. Is that just to contribute to the cause? Is that the
I guess
contributing to the cause is of course always welcomed, and I think that you have the option when you make your pledge to pledge more.
I seem to recall when I pledged to Heidi Gygax and her husband Eric Garland's thing, that as you're going through the pledge, you can edit your pledge up from whatever amount. Just be careful. If it's like $65, don't accidentally hit an extra zero and if you don't have $650.
But we're not, Kickstarter has changed. This is no longer the days when you would overpledge on something because you were planning on buying add-ons. Nowadays, they actually put the add-ons there, and we don't have very many add-ons. We've got an add-on, for a tablet. We've got the add-on for the commercial license, and we've got an add-on for the PDF if you want. But it will specifically ask you, what add-ons do you want to get? So you no longer have to just blindly overpledge the way that you used to with Kickstarter 5 years ago.
And that's another option. I mean, if someone really wants to contribute more, they can go and pick a pledge and then add add-ons just for the extra thing. But I'm pretty sure that when you pledge, you're allowed to change the number and make it higher, like if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Right on.
Okay, so now let's look here on this adventure, though. So this is kind of interesting because our patron is actually the jailer. So you're trying to escape, and so the jailer is bribing you to escape from the tavern, which could also be, could you please leave? a prison where they're done with you, but you don't want to leave the prison. That's kind of I can see extra planar prisons that you would not want to actually escape from.
Yeah.
So there's one possibility. So,
all right. So, but if we scroll to, and I did click, excuse me, oh, goopy. I did click keep. So we do have this kept. Patron or target's motivation, removal of kidnapping a friend. So here I think the jailer knows you're a seasoned adventurer, and he wants to spring you so you can go spring a friend of his.
Or you could do this is a standard jailbreak where you're only pretending to be prisoners. So the jailer hires you to come in and break his friend out. He can't do it because he's the jailer.
Right. And
that's a pretty simple thing. All that you need to do there from that point is generate a really interesting prison. So for that, unfortunately I can't read because it's too blurry on my screen, and it has nothing to do with my age. Have we got a location thing in there under the starting points?
Let's see. So our location, of course, escape from the tavern. We have our patron's motivation. What might be promised at characters? Improvement in movement rate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if we go over to the index.
Oh, over on the index.
Yeah, the thing in the index right above where we are right now.
So we have adventure, location.
Click on adventure. Click on adventure and let's see what we get.
All right. So there we go.
This may be where we get the location-based adventure. All right. So this is what I was looking for. This is the table that generates you a location. So we could say that our tavern/prison, which we don't really understand how that works yet, but we'll find out, is the nest mines of the reawakened skeletons.
Okay.
So I like the nest mines of the reawakened skeletons. So this is the prison we're trying to get out. So there's a bunch of skeletons here, along with probably other prisoners, and they're nest mines. So it might be that people are going and getting eggs from these dangerous nests or something like that. So that gives a pretty cool overall environment, although it doesn't tell us anything specifically about getting to the prisoners or anything like that. And then and here we do repeat the information about the patron and so on and so forth, because these are all complete starting points on the thing. So let's if we scroll down, do we have a villain's plan in this?
Yes. The adventure. So the villain's plan, the villain is trying to enhance his own reputation, either as an invincible villain or as a good person, which would be an infiltration tactic.
Okay, so we've got our patron, who is the jailer, and we don't know a lot more about him than that. So we don't have a villain yet at this point. So we don't know what the villain's role is in this particular probably extra planar prison, I'm thinking, because if we've got nest mines, I'm thinking there's some sort of dangerous bird that nests there, and you've got the prisoners, in their camps and so on and so forth. So the villain is trying to enhance his own reputation. Let's try click on that on the villain's plan bill where it says reputation. Mouse on that. Click on that. Now we're getting a different result. This is the way that you can use the thing to narrow in on the thing. Is that I was looking at the villain's reputation probably is not going to be a real big issue in this adventure because this is basically a infiltrate the prison, locate the person that you are looking for with the help of the jailer. So the jailer's a genie who lets you in. So the what the villain's trying to do is probably not super important. So the villain's just trying to gain wealth, that's almost your standard villain. So let's hit keep on this one again.
All right, we will stick this in our virtual notebook.
Okay, so now let's create a monster for something that lives in these nests, and maybe the villain is one of these things.
Okay.
Now, if you open up that subfolder, and let's look for now let's go to beasts. And beasts beasts requires a little bit of work, but let's give it a shot and see how it goes.
Although I will indicate we do have planar creatures too.
Yeah, that's true. And would that work better or would it not?
Yeah, you did ask for planar, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's try planar creatures.
All right. Planar creatures.
See if there are subfolders in that one as well.
Ready?
No, they're not. No, they're
not in that one. Okay. So creating a new. All right. So the planar subtype is Dark Angel. Let's re-roll this planar creature build by going up to the main re-roll.
All right.
Another Dark Angel. Re-roll again. Okay, Traveler. All right, so the Traveler subtype, just to skip all of the reading on that, there are different types of planar creatures. There's the Dark Angels, who are the Tempters. There are demonic creatures, who are the Destroyers. There's planar Travelers, who are kind of like the Githyanki and the Githzerai. It's just a race of people who move around a lot, or the denizens of Lang, as they were described in those books. So this is a type that is it's just a group of people who are out there, and presumably they're the jailers. So now if we scroll down, let's take a look at what their physical form looks like.
Okay. Choose the form of the destructor. Choose and perish.
All right. Resembles an ape, but an unearthly. Does that say pink?
It says pink.
Pink apes.
A pink ape. The creature.
Right, so let me help a little bit
with
here.
A big visible brain. I love it.
So everything that you see here, you can basically re-roll the whole thing. But if you go and mouse over on the ape, or basically anything that's underlined, you can partially re-roll. So if you mouse over on the ape, for instance, the word ape, the exact word.
Don't re-roll that. I love that.
But don't do it. You can basically partially re-roll on what resembles this planet traveler.
Oh, that's
same
a good
with
question.
the pink.
Do we have an undo button? If let's say that Bill had clicked on that, have we got an undo button?
Usually these things.
We talked about doing that.
Yeah, usually these things work automatically, but let me check. Control Z. If we don't, it's pretty easy to add, but let me try it so that you won't ruin your quest.
Guys, features are being added right now, live on the show.
Yes, indeed, but I have to admit it's an easy one. But no, we don't have an undo right now, but we can add one.
Okay, yeah, I think that's definitely something we want to do because we just saw in action exactly what someone's going to do, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, I loved the pink ape. How do I get it back?" Because I haven't hit keep yet.
There you go. We have a pink Mojo Jojo here, a big visible brain in a jar.
We just generated Mojo Jojo.
We just generated. I will defeat the adventurers. They will come at my dungeon. They will step into my traps, and then they will be defeated by me, Mojo Jojo.
Now let's go find the traps that Mojo is going to use.
Absolutely.
Trap area.
Dungeon traps.
Okay, so if you open the folder, you will see.
Oh wait, no. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, let's keep it.
Oh yeah, we got to keep Mojo.
Yeah, okay.
There.
Okay, so if you open the subtables on dungeon traps, you will see that we have basic ones and complex ones.
Okay.
Complex.
Well,
this is Mojo Jojo. It's got to be a
this is
complex
Mojo
trap.
Jojo, so we're gonna get some complex traps here.
Okay, so here's the thing with the traps. The complex traps, the way that I've wrote them up, back in the book and so on, is they contain multiple different possibilities. One is a draw to entice people to come walk into the trap area. One is a prison that holds them there. One is the kill mechanism that actually does the killing. Also, a lot of them may have an escape mechanism so that you can get away. And then there's if you'll notice in some of the old school, especially, or Grimtooth, especially, there's often a complication. In addition to whatever it is that's supposed to be killing you, there's also something else making it more difficult for you to escape or something like that. So that's the draw, the prison, the kill mechanism, the escape mechanism, and the complication. So what we've got here, the draw, is an interesting vehicle. So, you get into this extraplanar area, and there's a vehicle, and then the way I would do this is I would have it keep working for a long time until not the jailer, because the jailer is the person you're working with, but until the villain, you either get into an area or something like that. Then it's going to turn left regardless of what you're doing with the wheel, head directly into the trapped area, where the party is going to be physically divided from each other. This is probably something I would re-roll because it doesn't fit so great with a vehicle bringing you in there.
All right.
So I would pick something other than physically dividing the party. So next one down.
Okay.
Well, you just changed my draw. Now as a harmless gas or illusionary peril tries to herd the party into a trapped area. And so, I guess what I'm thinking of is, what is it that protects the nests in this interplanar area? These are the nests of the pink apes. So they've got wings. They've got to have wings.
The pink apes. Well, I mean, surrounding them with an illusionary gas that tries to herd the party into a trapped area sounds like an absolutely great trap to me.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I don't know how long we want to go on with this, but I think this is a pretty good example of the sort of free form association that you use, and that it's okay to re-roll something. It's okay to come up with a cartoon character like Mojo Jojo that becomes the template, for the thing that you're going to do. It's okay. Free association is good in the creative process, but you can see that we went from 0 to 60 fairly fast just by pulling up a few results here and there.
5 mouse clicks.
Yeah.
Did this, and I mean that is the beauty of this, and then a lot of times, like, well, let me give you a perfect example, Matt. We've added for our patrons here on the show, if you pledge at the $10 level on Patreon, or I think it's $9.99. YouTube messes with things, but YouTube memberships every month. Our patrons at that level receive a first edition compatible mini module, just a short module. And I admit I'm not a bottomless well of ideas 24/7. And something like this is ideal for, okay, I want to brainstorm something. I've got a germ of an idea, but can I stretch this into a 3 or 4 page PDF? And taking that idea and plugging it into something like this, or even no idea, and starting tabula rasa is what makes this so awesome. I mean, you take this, the Tome of Adventure Design, mix in a healthy dollop of the Dungeon Master's Guide random tables, if you want, and quite frankly, you've got infinite amounts of design combinations. To my humble brain's understanding, don't nobody go hire a lawyer out of Tyler, Texas, who likes role-playing games, and come back to me and say that's not infinite, Bill. I'm suing you for false representation. But No, this is the kind of tool that makes that kind of work for my patrons and my members so much easier, you know.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, Cooley asks a question: does this produce stats or just narrative components? And it's just narrative components, correct?
Yeah. Well, we may in some of the premium content, you know, or in the later thing, that may be the point at which we begin breaking into something that's more system specific. But you know, I guarantee you, one of the first things that people do when they have the chance to write something like this and put it up on the Steam Workshop for other people to download will be character generators and you know, things like that. You know, stats. It would be fairly easy, and we'll probably do this. Just throw all of the Swords and Wizardry stat blocks onto a table, and it'll be just, you know, roll a random Swords and Wizardry monster. That kind of thing is very easy to do. But the Tome of Adventure Design itself is almost entirely specific, almost entirely system neutral. It is D&D adjacent everywhere, so it uses it talks about saving throws. You know, so you can tell that it was written for D&D, but it's basically system neutral.
Right.
Also, I'd like to add that, especially in the monster section, Matt has some incredible tables that give you ideas on special attacks and special defenses for the monsters. And they're really, really cool. Things that I played D&D like for, I don't know, 20 years now, more than 20 years. And I've never thought myself. I mean, I've found some really cool ideas in there.
Mm-hmm.
So no stats, but you can actually get an idea for a monster and then make it 100% yours by adding the stats.
It gets you close enough to know what it is that you need to do in your system to put it into numbers, I would say, in most cases.
Another question. Devious Dungeon Paintings, and by the, I love your handle, Devious Dungeon Paintings. Is there a treasure section included?
No, that would be one of the things that we could put in the premium DLC. But again, it's not system specific. And now that I'm saying that, August, there are some treasures. There is some treasure stuff in there, isn't there? Some of the more unusual types of things are there are already in there. But what it does not have is a generate a treasure hoard. Your basic thing, because that, if you think about it, that is actually specific to each rule system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not in there, but there for the interesting stuff, like, you know, what is a weird magical effect to have on a magic item? There is a table of magical effects.
Exactly. So. Basically, there's a whole chapter called miscellaneous items, and there we have various items, ideas, and also dungeon dressings that are amazing to browse.
You're getting some infield chatter from Risa. She says, we need a generator called Agi's Paradox where you can get ideas with many paranoid and chaotic events you can experience in a dungeon. Trust me, Bill. I absolutely trust you, Risa. Never fear. Let's see. Sarah asks, could I use this to make a list for D50, D100? Well, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Here's the wonderful thing is that if you're using this to generate your own table, you don't have to make it be a multiple of something you can roll on dice. You can just tell it, you know, generate, you know, here's the table. Yeah, there's 22 entries. It'll work. I don't have, you know, you don't need to have it fit for a D20. So that's a really nice feature, you know, of computers in general, really.
Well, I'm gonna hit you guys over the head here. I'm gonna take your app and I'm gonna bend it at a 90-degree angle to make it fit where it ain't supposed to, because something like this. And let me tell you guys, let's all two of you in the audience who like GDW's Twilight 2000. If you're looking at this thinking, yeah, random encounters in a post-nuclear exchange Central Europe, me too. All right. This would be ideal for your own custom lists, obviously. I mean, I don't think Matt has abandoned T80 tank anywhere in the list here, but if he does, good job. But once you can craft your own custom list into stuff like this, the tedium. And Matt, have you ever played Twilight 2000? Nagi, have you?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't, but I've heard really, really good words.
First of all, Twilight 2000, even going back to the 86 version, amazing RPG, incredibly detailed, man. And I mean, it is grimdark. It's not a pretty world. But there's times when you're just like, okay, roll on the random events table. You pass through a village. All right, what do we see around? Crap, let's break for 30 minutes, guys. I gotta, and something like this, just like that. And for corner case RPGs, whether it's Twilight 2000, whether it's I keep going post-apocalypse. I'm not on purpose, but Twilight 2000, Aftermath, Villains and Vigilantes, basically stuff that you might love, that you adore. Like, you and your group are the only people left on Earth still running a Spawn of Feshan game, and you want an easy-to-use random table tabulation system. This is your toy right here, because it is system agnostic. At least I hope. I hope I didn't just. Didn't just let the jam out of y'all's donut with that.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
What had happened was I had tuned you out to read the chat.
I should have expected it from you, Matt.
No, nothing you said bothered me at all. Well, because I lived through the post-apocalyptic RPG era. So yeah, one question that Vaughn Gifford, the thing that made me stop to look was, will you be able to share the lists with other users like Steam Workshop? And the answer is yes. Using Steam Workshop. That's exactly the method that people will be able to share tables back and forth is Steam Workshop. So
okay, all right, excellent. So I'm looking for. So we have someone in the chat. One of my clones has escaped containment. Number 414, Dungeon Delvers. I'm kidding. He's his own thing. I'm certainly happy to share the YouTube space. But Dungeon Delvers is actually dropping a video about this tomorrow, and he has sent the link to me on Twitter, and I will kick that over to you guys, so you will know when the video goes live. So thank you very much, Dungeon Delvers, and I hope you I hope you get a lot of traffic off of that. Not too much, a good amount, but I'm kidding. Alex, who made this? They did. Those guys right down there underneath.
Yeah, we did. So Bill, by the way, let's go ahead and talk through any other stuff from the list. But also, if you want to, we did not have the map, the dungeon map area when we first did this yet, did we? It wasn't.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
So if you want to see me go up against Gary Gygax on map design theory, we can go and do that. But go ahead and finish off any questions on the chat. But because
let's see. Scrolling. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, Tommy, horror undead tables for using it with Call of Cthulhu. Absolutely. I think I got your question. Guys, don't be shy about repeating a question, by the way. You get me, Matt, and Aggie, or basically me and anybody on the show rolling, and it's like, old home week, and I might miss what you have to say, even a super, which you can do. But I will catch it on the next go around. So this will enhance some of the new VTT stuff. This okay. You know what, Aggie, I'm gonna let you answer that one because I know the answer, but you field that one. This is from Mike Mertig, and he says, "Will this enhance new VTT stuff?"
All right, so it happens. Probably most people here don't know. Brave Alice, our company, owns a VTT. It's called RPG Stories. There is an idea of implementing some parts of Fantasy Adventure Builder into RPG Stories. It's not something we're going to do in the near future, but it's an idea. But the Fantasy Adventure Builder was basically created as a standalone software that you can, use it either if you play online, but also take your tablet when you're around the table or your laptop and you play with your friends and you need an idea and you click and you get that idea and you give the answer to the players. It could be, I guess if anyone asks us if we can give the API so they can implement it in a VTT, we're going to discuss it with Matt and decide if we want to do it or not. It could be, it's easy to do. But right now, we don't have a specific agreement with someone to implement it in a VTT, like, I don't know, Roll20, Foundry, RPG Stories, or whatever. So that's the answer. It's a standalone thing for now.
All right, so there you have your answer, and we are at the dungeon map section. Do I dare click the button, Matt?
Well, let me preface this with, so when I was doing Tome of Adventure Design as a book back in the day, obviously it had to have a dungeon map generation system in it. Problem was, there was already a very, very good random dungeon generation system in a book that had already been done in the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide. So I had to come up with an alternate way of generating a dungeon map that was different from the one that Gary Gygax designed. So let's go ahead and click on dungeon map and see how I did.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. So where this starts is with a schematic, and these are not dungeon rooms. What these are areas of groups of rooms. You've got your starting area 1, and so you've got these areas, and then you've got transitions. So let's roll down a little bit and see what the transition A looks like. And this is, by the way, where I need to put the dungeon entrance, because I haven't got a table for that.
Okay.
So transition A. So actually, area 1 is where you're going to start out once you've gotten into the dungeon, rather than transition A. Transition A leaves area 1, but it gives you the topography. It's excavated with cut stone block or fieldstone brought in for walls and ceilings, flagstone floors. So this is the basic dungeon that you see, as opposed to natural caverns. That's what it looks like. And it tells you that this area 1 contains only one room or chamber, which is a room of unusual size. And we'll see some other configurations later. So if you scroll down a little bit, in this area, we don't have any normal size rooms. So we're just going to scroll right by normal sized room and find out what this unusual room looks like. So room of unusual size. Oh, August, there's a typo. I spotted a typo.
Where?
Room of unsual size.
Oh, all right. Let me note that down.
We're going to keep spotting things like this for the next year.
Right.
Probably, yeah.
So that's almost certainly my fault too. That's my typo.
Okay.
Room of unusual size. So the dungeon entrance area, the antechamber here, is an oval 1d6. What is it? Plus whatever times 10 feet. So it lets you generate. So you're scratching your notes, here or on a sheet of graph paper, and it tells you basically what the size of the room is, what the direction is of the long and short axis, and then it goes to arrangement of rooms or chambers in an area. If there were multiple rooms in this area, this is where we would look to see how they were arranged. And then if you can scroll back up to transition A. And we'll see what happens when you leave this room. There are 2 exits from the room, I believe, looking at that particular schematic. Yeah, there's 2 of them. So it's transitions A and B. So transition A, if you scroll down, we'll see what that is. All right, so here, it's a system of corridors. So basically, you've just got some corridors leave out of that in that general direction, and you can turn this schematic in any direction that you want to. we didn't do a separate one for this goes the other way, this goes to the left, this goes to the right. It's a system of corridors in which some go under others, or just a corridor goes under. So basically, this is where you're going to have, the sub level where stairs go down, go for a distance, and then come back up into the next area, and other things might crisscross. So it might actually be going under part of the adjacent area.
Yeah.
And then transition B is whatever transition B is. If we scroll down to area 2, let's see what we get to from that little sub-level area.
I'm back. Sorry, my internet crashed, but I'm back. I'm fine.
Okay.
It's funny. I was having a few problems here too. I was let's see, but we do. First of all, Vinger, thank you very much for your super. I think this goes back a little bit. Does it have a section for determining when to roll for random encounter chances?
No, it doesn't. Again, because that tends to be different by system, even within D&D, whether you're talking about plus D&D never agreed with itself anyway, but whether you're talking about original D&D, Holmes Basic, Moldvay Basic, Menser Basic, Advanced D&D, many of those have either no specific rule for when to roll encounters. So one thing we could do would be to do a table of the different frequencies to roll on.
You go.
That is not a bad idea. So
there you go. And by the way, it is out of doors. It is determined by terrain type and time of day for AD&D. But out of doors, terrain type and time of day. Indoors, it is once every turn, and being the bastard dungeon master that I am, after every combat. You beat on a bunch of orcs with metal weapons and alakazam a bunch out of existence and so on. It's gonna raise some noise. Something's gonna come looking.
Yeah, I think OD&D was the same way. I think there was a set number. I don't think it was every turn, but and then after an encounter, also in OD&D. But it varies by system, so that's not something that we were saying in there. But we could do a table talking about that. Anyway, so there's and then the transition B, which is a thing going the other way, is a partially submerged corridor. So I mean, I can see. So you come in, you've got this large oval shaped room, then you've got some stairs leading down. I would suggest that probably you've also got some stairs leading even a little bit further down, off to one area. One set is above the water, one set is below the water, and then it comes back up again. That's an effective block. Players will not go through water. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. You've got to have a flooded dungeon with the goal somewhere in that dungeon to get them to go through it. And even I'm going blank. Lost Shik, like, literally put a valve in S2 that you can drain the thing with, and characters are always happy when they find that.
Yeah.
They don't like going through water.
So anyway, so this gives you an idea. And then if we scroll down now that we're in area 2 here, to show just how it works. So this area contains and then it gives you a certain number of rooms, and it tells you how many of them are rooms of unusual size. And then the key thing is, if you look down at arrangement of rooms or chambers in an area, in this one, all of the rooms enter into one central room, probably a room of unusual size. So this is the model where you have one room with side rooms. But there are other arrangements where it's like there is a crossroad corridor in the middle, and these rooms are scattered through it. And so it describes, it tells you how many rooms there are and how they are arranged. And then looking up at that schematic, it shows you their relative locations to each other and what connects them. And that was the method that I decided to use as my alternative to Gary Gygax's one from the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide.
Fair enough. Ta-da. We have a question that was up earlier, and I don't want to miss this. Okay, this I have the world's worst scroll wheel. Tom Trustworthy. Really, is there a more trustworthy name in gaming? I don't think there is. Says, is there a way to minimize the index on the left and the inspirations on the right and the whole top section so we have more room for main content?
Oh, God. All right. So,
You done it now, Tom.
all right. So no, there's not. There's not. But this is one of my biggest argument with my team. I was pushing for that a little bit, like the idea of having a button where you can basically hide the index and hide the inspiration so that everything comes to the center and, have more space for it, especially for people who have, smaller screens. It's not something that can be done in one day. That's why most developers avoid it, because then you have to reshape everything in the UI, and basically it will change a lot of things in the UI. But one of the things we want to do in the near future, after the Kickstarter campaign, as an upgrade at some point, we would like to allow people to resize the UI, make it smaller or bigger, or the buttons or the fonts. So when we do that, basically we'll have an automatic way of changing the size of the UI, and then it will be super easy to add a button to the index and inspiration and hide them so that you can have everything for the main content in the middle of the screen. So there is the idea of doing it, and I really wanted to do it. But then I started using the software as well, because when you are in the developer team, what you do is that you get the build from the devs, and before you send it to Matt, for example, you test and you test and you test. And I have to admit that the inspirations on the right of the UI really, really help you come up with ideas. So I personally, after using it for so long, and implementing the tables and reading the whole book again and again, I found that a user will probably leave the inspirations there forever, because they do help more than you can imagine the first time you see them. I've come up with a whole quest just starting with one inspiration.
Excellent.
And things like, I saw something in the inspirations, then I went back to work, and when I went to sleep, I was thinking about that inspiration, and a whole quest came in my head, and then I played it with my friends. So I guess people will leave the inspirations there, but the index, it's a nice idea. Like closing it, open it again whenever you want. It's a cool idea.
Nice. Now, okay, look, I'm going to ask you something, and if this is not feasible, just say no, Bill, and no further explanation is necessary. But what about popping out the central window? I'm a 2-monitor guy. So, I have a lot of screen real estate, not just here, but over at my main workstation, I've got two 27 inches. So popping out the window, possibility?
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I personally think that the best idea is to allow to popping up the notebook. So
that's a good idea, because then you could type at the same time that you were looking at stuff you were generating.
Well, there you go. Make a notebook. Make a notebook. Pop out notebook. It's all up here. Okay, guys. It all comes from up here. But anyway, so you've got the dungeon mapping module here. This is super cool. I'm watching this, listening to you guys, and watching the chat. I don't want to miss anyone's comments, and I'm bantering back and forth with Risa. I'm multitasking. Let's see. So let's see. Oh, so people, these viewers so unappreciative. Just because I did a TPK with water spiders in the sewers under Greyhawk, it's like, you killed all the game. Yeah, well, that happens. So again, don't want to miss any things. And we were talking about the windows and the UIs and so on and etc. So what other questions have you folks out there in TV land got, because this is the whole enchilada, and I am so looking forward to playing with this. Did we talk about? I have the faintest recollection that we talked about this, and it was kind of a not right now, maybe in the future thing, but like adding our own art assets like into the notebook at some point. Was that a possible down the line thing that we had discussed last time, or am I just
no, you had asked about whether it was going to use any graphic stuff. In other words, were we going to put in any sort of art or links to art? And the answer to that was no, because number one, links to art has copyright problems, and also fitting a graphic into something that's running the tables is also problematic. You saw it where it was done in the dungeon map schematic. But so the answer to that was no.
Okay.
The answer to being able to import art into the notebook is not something anyone's ever asked, actually. And so Augie's, I don't know whether that's workable or not, or whether, I think people would probably export their notebook around the art, but that's something people could do. But that's not us providing art or us trying to fit art. That's just putting it into the notebook.
Yeah. Well, after you've done working in the Fantasy Adventure Builder and you want to export, you can either export in TXT, take the text, create anything you want, add pictures, and then convert it to a PDF, or you can export right away to PDF. In my opinion, that's not something that we've discussed with Matt. It's always tricky to allow users to upload images in a software where people can share each other, because you never know what will be uploaded.
Oh yeah, that's a good
yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem we devs always have. Like, okay, I'm gonna give it I'm gonna give the opportunity to the users to upload whatever they want. But what if 99.9% of the time everything will be smooth and people would just exchange maps, I guess, or whatever? But it's always tricky, and then the blame is on you because people may download something that's offensive. It's always tricky. It can be done, but it's a discussion we are having like every year. Every time we create something, this thing is, are we going to allow people upload things? And that's why most software, if you notice, they have a separate app to upload things in your app. So even strategy games, when you create your own maps, there's a standalone thing that comes with installation, and it's not part of the actual game. Yeah, but adding art is something that it can. I mean, we already have some art in it. I know it's not a lot, but for example, the notebook button has art, so it's easy when it comes to code to say, all right, next to a title, randomly add some art. So we might do it in the future. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think most likely people will just be taking the text out of the notebook once they've messed around with it, and out of the notebook and put it with whatever art that they've got. I mean, art's a major inspiring force with adventures, but we do a lot in here just with the text and the tables. So I don't think it's something that's necessary, except for when like we need a schematic there.
Okay. All right. So a few tech questions bopping around there, and just to kind of talk about the text export. I mean, Matt knows me long enough to know that I have a slavish love of old TSR module layout. So for me, like, the raw text is perfect because I know how to format a Word document to make it look like something that came out of Lake Geneva circa 1981. And wrapping art into that layout in something like Word can be such a bear. And I can't imagine, like, if there was art already embedded and then putting that into a Word document, Word would just lose its damn mind. So from where I'm sitting, just put the stuff in yourself when you get it in your own document is the better option. But to answer some of the tech questions we got coming here, Charlotte Williams says, will the new Swords and Wizardry have guidelines for making your own random encounter tables?
Will the new Swords and Wizardry, meaning the...
That's if you need some clarification, Charlotte, if you could clarify.
It's just not clear whether we're talking about whether this is a Swords and Wizardry rules question, or whether this is a tome a fantasy adventure builder question about putting in guidelines. So if we could get a little clarification on that, then I'll answer it.
Okay. Yeah. So ping us back on that, please, Charlotte. Thank you for asking your question. I'm gonna leave your question in the starred list so we know what we're talking about. If it takes you a minute to come back to us, Scary Sticks, spooky name, says the syncing between PC version and the tablet version should be a priority.
Yes, we agree.
We're in agreement. We have an accord. All right. Thank you, Scary Sticks. And Mark Hyde and Cornelius Nulland have very similar concerns here. Mark says no JSON file export, and Cornelius Nulland says CSV to JSON conversion. Question.
Right. So we have JSON save files. So whatever you do here, we don't call it export because, we wanted the what we call export to be something that everyone is familiar with. But if you want, you can save as JSON and reopen it in your tablet or give it to another person, or take the JSON and use it in any way you want. And we have two different save files. So the first type of save as that we have is for the adventure you create. So if you go now and you hit file, save notebook, you are able to save your notebook. Whatever you've sent to your notebook, it will be saved in a JSON file. There you go. And whenever you want, you can reopen it. So that's basically a JSON file. We call it NTB because it's notebook, but it's a JSON file. All right. So that's the one type. The second type is if you want to save the generator that you're creating. If you're creating new tables, you can go and say save as and save that generator and come back later and work, or send it to a friend so they can load it and keep on doing it. And here comes the Steam Workshop. That's the third thing that you can go to the workshop. You will be able to go to workshop and download or upload anything. So, and we also have a third one, now that I'm thinking of it. When you create your own generator, you can go and save it to your generators. So afterwards, when you open the software, you can go to the My Generator section and find the generator that you created there and start using it. And of course, you can always go back, reload it, make changes, and set it again. One cool thing that we are working right now on it is whenever you make a change to your generation, to your generator, to automatically happen to your workshop profile as well, so that everyone gets the update if they want to visit and take the update that you did. Because we guess some users will create really complex things and huge generators. I know someone that probably is in the chat. If when we started this interview, I saw that a guy called Lokinubra was in the chat. If he's still there, I'm pretty sure that he will create enormous things because that's what he does. I mean, he's in a Discord server and he creates amazing things. And he's not a creator. He's a creator. He's not selling anything. He's doing it for fun. So I guess he will create amazing generators.
I had a question. I had a question come through on one of the messages of, or it might have been the comments of, how many tables can I nest within this thing? And I said, well, it's probably not infinite because they probably built in something to make sure that you didn't get a recursive loop in there. But I'm pretty sure that the special rooms section in Tome of Adventure Design went at least 20 tables deep. in terms of subtables with a subtable with a subtable with a subtable. So there are people asking out there who have very big plans for what they're going to do with this. Geese.
Well, there is no limit. We haven't set any limit. You can do as much as possible, but I guess at some point, if you overdo it, you yourself, the user, will get confused because you have to remember what you've done. But yeah, there's no limit. You can do whatever you want.
Now, Charlotte, I have the answer to your question now. And I'm sorry, it threw me momentarily because I was thinking in Tome Adventure Design and Fantasy Adventure Builder, and so the question about Swords and Wizardry threw me for a second. We are going to be, so after this Kickstarter, once we fulfill, our next Kickstarter after that is going to be some supplemental rule books, one monster book, and then a book of various optional rules, including new character classes and so on and so forth. Up until I read your question, it did not have any guidelines for generating random encounter tables, but that is a great idea. And you sort of threw me back to when the Monster Manual 2 was released, and they had this neat little thing of, for any area, you can roll a D8 and a D12 bill, I think. And that generated a different it generated just exactly the right curve for the frequency tables that they had in the Monster Manual, and so that you could generate these very small little encounter areas. And I think that would be something that would be really great to throw in some guidelines for that as an optional approach in Swords and Wizardry. So that will go into the supplement book. It is not there yet because you only just gave me the idea now instead of having given it to me earlier, but that's on you, the fact that it took you this long to give me that idea. So
our always humble Matt Finch. But let's see. Tom has another great question here. When you save generators, publish to Steam, make changes to the generator locally, and want to publish to Steam again, can you version your publish so people can keep the old version if they liked it?
Yes, you can. Steam Workshop is a wonderful tool. It allows you to do basically lots of things. And a question so the answer is yes, you can. And another thing I want to add. So there are many companies in video games and software where they allow people to actually write code through Workshop to add features in a build. So because we got a question on that today, this is another tricky thing to do because in order to adjust your workshop and allow people to contribute in the coding system, you have to spend a lot of time reviewing at first. So if we ever allow this, it will be in the future. But yes, you can version your generators, and you can also add categories and make your profile custom your profile the way you want, and rename things, leave things for people to download, and version every generator you want. Like that was version 1, that's version 2.
Okay, and let's see. Michael says, I'm asking because I'm hoping to get a good gaming PC at some point. Okay, let me, was that in reference? Michael was asking about, could you build characters on D&D Beyond and then use this to, yeah, I mean, your characters can come from anywhere. Your characters come from index cards, your head, scratched into a notebook, written on clay tablets. It doesn't matter what your source for any of that is. You can build the adventure to run them in, all in here, whether it's just starting with a seed of an idea. God, I sound like a salesman. I better be getting a commission. Whether it's a seed of an idea or what have you, a full-blown thing in your head that just needs a little bit of polishing on one or two details. You got to break out the 25,000 grit and put some polish on it. This is that. This is that. So it doesn't matter where your characters are coming from or even what system they're coming from. I mean, I drove poor Matt to be a chat moderator a few minutes ago when I started clattering on about Twilight 2000. So it can be any system. But yeah, so there's your there's your question answered, I hope, Michael. But so let's see, any other questions, you guys out there in the chat? I have I love this thing, and I was actually going to bring this up here. I always like doing this. If we go back over to the page, you are currently sitting at $29,008 on this. So you're oh, I'm sorry, somebody just threw in $40, $29,048. So you guys, that's what, 120 something percent.
Yeah, I think we've been up about what, $500 since the show started.
Well, that's good. That's awesome. You folks out there in the chat, you're making it happen. And keep your ideas coming. Matt, I think, is probably still taking notes. So stuff that you guys want to see, things that
I mean, Charlotte even gave me an idea of, for a different book. So I'm rolling here. Your chat room is doing great.
Again, how many Kickstarters have you guys ever gotten to where you get to talk live to the devs and make things like happen as you watch them? We got an undo button tonight. We've got a stack of ideas that Matt's going to be putting in here, and it's awesome. So yeah, just keep the ideas coming, folks. It's all great stuff. Venger wants to know, does it help to calculate the airspeed of an unladen swallow, African or European?
Yeah,
African or European. You got to ask the question. So thank you, Jorge. I don't math well. It's 145% apparently. Okay. Well, here you go. You did this, Matt. This is your fault. Whoops. How about mass combat and realm management for swords and wizardry? I got a player in my Monday night AD&D game. She's been gaming with us since 2014, and her fighter that she's been running since then is now up to the point where she wants to build not just a castle, Matt. She wants to build a town.
Oh yeah.
And so now I get to calculate out building a town. So this is salient. Let's see. So mass combat and realm management, Matt.
Yeah, I think mass combat is already there. We could do we could flesh it out. A lot of people have done things like that. Realm management is a really good idea that has always scared me a little bit, because I'm not that's going outside of my area of expertise, and I'm really not so much of a game designer. But maybe what I'll do is I'll put James Spawn on that. What do you think, Bill? Yeah. I say go for it. Yeah, it's only a question of space. We are trying to keep these things down to 144 pages, but 144 optional rule pages in Swords and Wizardry is an enormous amount of territory that you can cover in 144 pages. So I'll talk to James Spawn maybe about doing something like that. The thing is that it's been done well by some of the basic expert types, for Labyrinth Lord or for basic fantasy RPG, and I'm not sure. Not sure whether I can really add to it or not with the Swords and Wizardry rules, but I agree with you. That is a very important phase of things. If you do actually get all the way up to 9th level, is the henchman and the domain management. So yeah, that's well, I'll see whether that is something that fits in the outline or not.
Well, that would be great, and I think you're definitely barking up the right tree with asking James Spawn. I don't get a lot of, Bill, can you write Kingdom stuff for us? Because I tend to turn in 20-page manuscripts of mud monsters attacking the party with rusty falchions, and then the last 100 pages are just kill the bastards over and over again. So I think locally and act very locally when it comes to that. I'm not good at realm management, Matt. It's outside of my treehouse. But let's see. Jorge says, I'm looking forward to getting the new Swords and Wizardry book. The PDF is great. That's awesome. Good to know.
Thank you.
So let's see. Again, not wanting to miss anybody. All right, I think we're all caught up on the chat, so you guys start sticking stuff out there. Random Kingdom histories. I think that could be something in an index. Random Kingdom histories, for sure.
No, that's a table for the. That's a suggestion for the table in the.
Yeah, and it's a really nice suggestion.
Yeah, random Kingdom history.
Well, there you go, Vaughn. Now, I'm gonna check settings real quick, because if this is okay, all right, volume. That's I like the page flipping sound. I do, but there is a point at which there is a point at which. So yeah. Now. I almost feel like this is like I'm kind of missing the point here, but is there a possibility of other future app integration? Like, I know Roll20 and Discord are big things. Is there a future where you can foresee push button export to N, where N equals Roll20, or N equals small enough amount of text to fit into Discord or something like that, if you're using this as like a live mixing tool, if you will, if you kind of picture in your head, the sound guy at a concert is live mixing stuff. Is that a path that you could foresee yourselves pursuing?
All right. So basically, that means a Discord bot, which is a cool idea. But what Matt has created, because that's what's wonderful with his software, is a tool where you can combine lots and lots of ideas to come up with quests, or to find ways to dress your dungeon in a nice way, and not to do the same things again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you get the main feature is to use the tables from the Tome of Adventure Design book, and the secondary is to create your own generators. So it's a little bit different, because if you create like a Discord bot, then you probably need one sentence, or what kind of weapons does this monster use. So you click, you get an answer. The master uses a longsword. That would be nice for a Discord bot, because as you play with your friends, you can click, you can get the result. Same with Roll20 or whatever. But yeah, I made a note here for Discord bot, because it's a nice idea to discuss with Matt.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, to be clear, I mean, at least for myself, no static. You listen to me, and I'll be like, can we put propellers on it and fly it around the room? No, Bill, we can't do that. So don't ever be shy to say no, that that doesn't really fit. But it is a great little I say little, like it is a fantastic program. And
if you see the amount of CSV files that we've worked on and copy pasted on and delivered to the devs. It's not little at all. It's,
Oh,
I
Aggie,
mean,
it's just a bunch of SQL. Come on, how hard could that have been?
oh, really hard.
I'm gonna get something nasty sent to me in the post. I need to stop it.
Not from Augie's. Carissa will send you something that you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Why is this box from Greece beeping? I don't understand. But no. I absolutely get it, and I don't know if Matt has completely inculcated you in Southern speech. But if we say little something, yeah, that's a nice little program you got there. It has nothing to do with the size or the amount of effort.
I know. I get it.
It is affection. Okay, all right. I just didn't want you to misunderstand and like, oh,
no, not at all.
Yeah. Because, but believe me, I've been in data centers with fellow Southern IT pros. 900 or 9,000 users. Clusters of remote servers. Yeah, this is a nice little group of users we've got here. So it's not small at all. But let me see. Again, not wanting to miss anyone's comments. They're talking about the Batman cartoon now. So,
they all your whole chat room tuned you out at that point.
Yeah. So no. What about? Hey, here's a question. What about future color preferences on the UI? What if I don't brownish gray?
We already have a dark mode.
Okay.
So if you go, I'm not seeing your screen right now, but if you go, you will see there's a black button next to the volume. So if you click that, everything becomes dark. To your right.
To my right. Okay.
There's a black. There you go. So this is the dark mode.
Proper. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the brown one. Basically is loyal to the cover of the book and the whole Tome of Adventure design. That was the idea. We have the dark mode because almost every software has a dark mode. Now, apart from that, what else would you like?
Oh, what else would I like?
He wants purple wizard hats in the background.
Yeah, I'm asking this because we had this idea of adding different colors to the results, or let's say that the titles will be, I don't know, blue and the answers will be something else. But we decided that since people will be reading this a lot and, re-rolling, it has to be pretty standard.
Yeah. And I've got to be honest with you, from a user standpoint. I mean, I'm 99% of my life anymore is in user space. IT and I had a parting of the ways, but from a user standpoint, the least cluttered and cleanest UI is absolutely better. And I'm not referring to this application at all, but I'm also not going to name any apps by name. There have been some people who've put some lovely efforts together over the years for D&D campaign and management stuff, and all of them seem to think that I want my book to look like it was something that was handwritten by Chaucer. The pages have to be sepia colored, and they have to be weird fonts and flowery vine things, and it's not. No, that is just horrifically distracting as a creator to have that stuff, and page riffling I can't turn off, and page turning animations, and 3D rendered dice that occasionally move of their own. This just a flat UI that's got some interesting visual touches, so I don't feel like I'm staring at Excel. This is where it's at. This is my happy place for UI design. So
thank you very much.
So yeah, no, I am the dark mode is going to be the space I live in while I'm using this, and I will be using this for a lot of management stuff. Just the other day, again, to go back to my Monday night AD&D game, it is such an unbridled mess now, and it's been going on 9 years, so things are going to get a little scattered. But being able to have things just together in here. Matt, let me throw an idea at both of you guys. Campaign calendar. There's been a lot of discussion gone on Twitter lately about timekeeping in fantasy campaigns / D&D. It's like, are you doing 1-to-1 time like Gygax meant? And other people are, well, Gary didn't mean for people to keep 1-to-1 time. Well, yes, he did. He said in this article. So campaign, I think a campaign calendar, even if it's something random, like I want random season names that are based on wild animals. And bang, you get 12 months, 10 months, how many ever months you want to specify. I want season names that are based on, stellar, or not season month names that are based on stellar bodies, and so on and et cetera. What about something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's going to be going in there a lot is names in general, whether it's names for months or whether it's places or people or whatever, are going to be things that show up in there a lot. An actual calendar method we could do, although that would be more of a checklist, because there's a fairly finite number of ways that you can design a calendar, way more than you would think, but still finite.
Sure.
So that to me, I think of those things as checklists rather than as tables. Although if you roll randomly on a checklist, you're getting sort of the same experience. So that's one thing that would be in there. And I think it was also Sarah brought up on a similar note, the question of whether it could be used to make story branches. And that is not something that we have. It's actually implicit in there now. I think that might be a really good table to write in there, story branches. Although there are a lot of them that are implied when you go through all of those different starting things, and it's like, here's the villain's plot, here's who the villain is, here's who the patron is. You almost begin to see the sequence of events beginning to play out. But what it doesn't do, or it doesn't have right at the moment, is something that happens once the players are involved, that this might be the sort of twist that might happen. And so I'm putting that on my list of potential tables to do for the premium DLC, because I think that's a good one that hasn't been done.
Okay. Then I am one more. Weather.
Weather's a great idea. Let me write that down. And that's the kind of thing that people are going to want to put on their tablets. But yeah, weather, absolutely. That's
because my Greyhawk campaign. I forever want to let the characters in on. Yeah, if I haven't plotted it out before, it's like, we lost Aggie. But I forever want to know what's you're back there. Hey,
Yeah.
what the weather's like.
Yeah.
Is it snowing? Is it raining? Is it cloudy? Is it a hurricane gale blowing across the plains? Whatever. So I would. That would be something I would like to see.
Yeah, and I've got to get myself sort of out of the mindset of the really deep adventure generation tables, to keep in mind that some of this stuff is going to be somebody on a tablet who's absolutely happy to get something that's a fairly simple table that you would use, like weather. Weather's not usually all that important when you're designing an adventure. You just make the weather whatever it is that you need for the plot. But, a changing weather table on a tablet. So, I got to move into that mindset as well.
And that reminds me that I was playing D&D the other day, like a week ago, And one of my players asked me, so I said, so you wake up and you will start your journey again. And one of my players asked, what's the weather? And I rolled the dice, and then I pretended that in my notebook I had like a table, and I said, it's raining. So there you go. We need that table.
Yeah, we need that table, Matt.
I think we've all rolled dice and then said whatever it was that we wanted.
Yeah. I tell you the funniest. I love telling a story because one, it's funny, and two, I get to invoke Gary's name. There I was playing D&D with Gary, and there were just a whole lot of us at the table, and I was playing a magic user. I had nothing to do as we were marching along this trail going to the actual dungeon, and Gary gets to me and he says, "You in the hat, what do you do?" Because I was wearing one of my wizard's hats at the time. "You in the hat, what do you do?" And I said, "I endeavor to persevere." And Gary kind of looked down at his dice, and he just sort of picked one up at random and rolled it, and looked back up at me and said, "You succeed." Just went on to the next. So that is, yes, many times we will roll dice on behalf of our players and just be like, "Let me check that," clatter. Yeah, you find the jar on the shelf, or it is sunny outside. So yes, the stuff that you're going to come up with out of this, Matt, I know is going to be absolutely just so very cool. But I guess you got to have the free time to do it. And so to that, oh my, look, it is 5 minutes until beer. So I think we will probably wrap up here. Aggie from Brave Alice, thank you so much for being here, and I absolutely look forward to having you on the show again for the Fantasy Adventure Builder 2.0. Because I know you're ready to just turn around and start tear this thing apart and start rebuilding it, right? But Matt, of course, it's always a pleasure to have you here, and thank you once again to everybody out there in audience land, and folks that came over from Brave Alice, Risa, and anybody else maybe who dipped in to watch. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. I want to thank Wenger for the super. Thank you so much. That literally helps keep the lights on around here, boys and girls. And for everyone else, again, tomorrow night, Kyle will be running the show. He will be running some conflict for us. That's going to be fun. And if you're wondering, hey, what about the D&D? Again, if you're getting here late, we will be playing first edition AD&D on Thursday, and then on Friday we start the Spooktober. That's right. We're going to be playing 4 sessions of Call of Cthulhu on Friday nights. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you again, guys, so much for being here. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to slide this over and run our ridiculous end credits with their awesome song. You guys don't go anywhere. I want to get that final goodbye. But for the rest of you, I don't care whether you get this from a random chart or wherever. Be careful out there. There are owl bears. Peace. Love you all.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Make it as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show. I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.